Let's build an AI-assisted translation application in Python from scratch inside of Neovim in 10 minutes. The timer is starting now. So I'm gonna be working pretty fast, and the first thing I wanna do is create a file called main.py, and I have an AI assistant called Avante to do this for me. So I'm gonna say, create a Python script in this file to translate from English to Japanese, and I'll say, use the ChatGPT API. So I don't want it to use any kind of model locally or something. Let's use an API, and we're going to create this function. Then I'm going to wrap that in a server, and then we're going to create a web application to do this. And we're doing this all inside the terminal. So Avante's figured out what to do for me, and it's given me this Python script. And let's take a look at what it's told us to do here. I'm going to quit out of Avante. So it's loading my API key like this. I do not want to do this. So I'm going to edit this and say load from environment. Next, I can see the model down here. I don't want to use that. I want to use GPT-4o. That's going to be the model I'm interested in using. This looks like it'll do the translation well enough for me. I don't want this block down here. The next thing I want to do is wrap this in a fast API application. So wrap this in a fast API app, and I'm going to say serve on localhost, and I want to serve it on port 8080. This is like what I want to do. Yeah, so we're going to test this locally, and pretty soon I'll get to this Avante to also write my index file for my web application. But we're going to test this iteratively. So the next step is going to actually be testing this application. I'll have to create a requirements file, and it's actually done that for me right here. So that's cool. So we got that. I'm going to accept these changes right here. So it's sort of implemented this, getting some errors from Avante. It likes to do that. Let's have a look, see what we got. So we got this translate endpoint. We can make post requests to that endpoint. This all looks pretty good. What I want next is a readme.md. So I just want some basic README instructions for using this, and I'll just README. I'll just ask Avante to create that README for me. This should help guide me how I'm gonna install this. But then now I really want to make that web app. Okay, let's get to that soon. I'm just gonna grab this README, grab this over, paste this in here. Okay, here we go. So lots of stuff. Yep, this is all looks pretty expected. This is a curl request that we can use to test our application. So I want to do that quite soon. I just really want to get this web app up and running. So let's give this a shot. So I'm going to say, I have actually a prompt prepared for this. So I'm going to submit that, and then we're going to talk about it. So I'm saying create a beautiful web page using pure HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I don't want to use, like some Node library or Vue or something cool like that. I want this to be really simple. I just want to get this working locally. And I think you'll be surprised how nice this is going to look just in one simple file using these basic technologies. And then make sure you properly integrate the backend fast API server, and I want to do this fully open CORS access. So it's going to give me some changes for the server. So let's go up to the top and see about that. So here's the CORS changes. This is really important if you've ever done any sort of front-end development stuff. So I'm going to go to main.py and put this stuff in. This is just how our server is going to be able to talk, like how the applications are going to be able to talk to each other, because we're going to have two sort of servers running. You'll see what I'm talking about. But I also need, sorry about these errors, I want this one. So we're going to have to import this, and in order to fix these errors, I need to get out of Avante again. All right, so we've got some CORS stuff going on in here that I've added, so I'm happy with that. So let's look at my index. I'm actually going to have to create an index.html, and I'll have to go back into Avante in order to figure this out. So let's see if we get this. Okay, so here's my HTML. I'm going to go up to the top, yank that, go to my index, and we have about 5 minutes. That's good because I think we're going to need this time to debug some stuff. So if I look at, let's see where we're making a post request. Let's get this out of our face. Okay, so here we're going port 8080, localhost, cool, translate. We're making a post request here. All right, so this roughly looks like it should work. So let's set everything up. The first thing I want to do is set up a new virtual environment, and we're going to install everything. We're going to install specifically these requirements. So I'll activate it. Then we're going to say pip install -r requirements. All right, so these are all cached, so that goes extremely fast, which is really good for me because we need to move fast. So next I need to have this open API key available. I just want to show you that I have that. I'll just grep it, but I don't want to show you it all, so I'm going to restrict some of it. I'm going to show you only up to the first dash. Okay, cool. So I have this locally on my system, so I need that. And next I'm just going to run this main.py. And that's working because check it out. At the bottom here, I have this little line that's saying run on my local host, port 80 using Uvicorn, port 8080. Okay, so that's running. I can make my curl request. Whew. Okay, so let's do that. This is the curl request, and it says, hello, how are you? All right, so it's not happy. It wants me to downgrade my version of Open API's API. I can do that, okay? I can use an older version. That's because I guess these language models are a little outdated with like what they understand. Oh man, we don't have time for this. Okay, here we go. So that's been rolled back. Let's restart my server. Boom, okay, how are you? Here we go. So this is how are you in Japanese, and it's returning that. So this is great, that's working. The next thing I want to do is actually launch my web app. So I want to serve this index, right? So I can use Python to do that, and I can say python-m http.server. So now it's going to be serving it on port 8000. So what I want to do is go to my localhost at port 8000, and this is my application. This is what I got going on here. So let's just, let's just see if it'll work. Sorry, I gotta make this the right size for you guys. Okay, so hello, let's see about this. Yes. All right, we're going. We got it. Oh, sorry, I'm excited. Okay, well, I mean, like, how are you, YouTube? Yeah, I am Alex. All right, so we have 3 minutes to spare, and this totally seems to be working, which is incredible. So maybe we can upgrade this a little bit. How do you think we could do that? Well, I mean, it seems to be working pretty cool, but maybe one thing we could do would be to improve our prompt a little bit. So let's go to main. Main. This is our prompt, right? So we have our prompt right here, and it says, "Your translator, translate the following English text to Japanese," right, like this. So I could grab that, and actually let's sort of take that out and call it prompt. I could go up to the top, and we could sort of expose this in this way, and we'll paste that in here. So now I can mess around with this prompt. So maybe that's like prompt, I don't know, V1, but maybe we want to try something else. So let's try V2. I gotta go back to, let's see where we had this. Okay, so we're going to use V2 now. Let's go back up. And your translator, translate the following English text to Japanese, and say output let's say hiragana interpretation of any kanji characters as well. Okay, let's see how that does. So we've made some changes. So I want to reload this. I just want to make sure I'm reloading my server. I don't know if I need to do that because I'm in development mode here. Probably not necessary. I definitely don't need to change my web app because I didn't make any changes to that. So let's go back and try something new. So I'm going to say, let's see, the fire was burning brightly. So this is definitely going to have some kanji in here. So let's see if it does it. Cool. So you can see, for example, this character maybe is fire, and so now down here it's doing the hiragana pronunciation of that. Same with this kanji character down here. So you can see how oh, actually this is probably fire right here. That looks like fire to me. Awesome. So this is ready to go, and I still have a minute left, but I'll use that minute just to walk you through what this index looks like what the HTML it rewrote for me looks like. So let's make that big. So where I'm doing translate right here. Okay, so here's where it's calling our function. It's running locally on the local host, but when you go ahead and deploy this will need to be the server where you've deployed your API. And so then we're making a post request, and it's just sort of routing this input text. And this input text, it's reading it from this input text element. So if I look for input text, I want to find that element on the page. And this is that element right here. So it's a text area, and we're inputting some text here, and then this output text, let's see that. So if we follow output text, we're sort of defining this constant, which is referencing that element, and then I'm going to input data into there. So down here is where I'm going to be taking the result of my API server, like what it gave me back from ChatGPT, and inputting it into that cell, which is awesome. And look how beautiful this is, right? It's not extremely fancy, but like these buttons are nice, they're clickable, like things work well. We're at time. Okay, so that's it. Time is up. See, even this translating dialog appears. So I think it's really powerful what you can build with just basic HTML, CSS, without needing like, to rely on these complicated things with NPM and all these libraries and basically the things that everyone else is telling you to build. If you've got this far in the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like and consider subscribing. And if you want to see more stuff like this, I'm going to link you videos at the end of this one that have similar content where I'm like speed coding, using these AI tools like Avante and using Neovim and Tmux and this kind of development workflow that I really enjoy. So in the next video that I'm going to create about this translation app, I want to host it, and I'm going to do that with Google Cloud. And again, I'm going to be using this Avante tool in order to help me do that. So let's get this application online. If you want to do that with me, just follow the link right here, and I'll see you there. Thank you, and namaste.